Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanadra Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Whoa, it said, let your voice shine. Are you really going to do it? I'm really going to do it. This is the Her Voice Shines podcast. I'm your beautiful host, Shanadra Washington, streaming from the real hot, always hot, 102-degree weather hot Houston, Texas, baby. And let me tell you that I am big energy. Y'all know I'm always big energy because this is the best place to be. It's really the best podcast on the planet. If I'm not going to say it, who's going to say it? Because this lady, I already know she fired. She don't know it, but I went and looked at all her business and stuff like that. And we're going to bring it to the screen. She knew a little bit, right? I told her I was looking around, but I really went and Doug had to do this late last night so I could be prepared for today. But you know our drill. She comes to the stage, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, and we get the magic of her story without any further waiting time. Here's my very beautiful and distinguished guest for today.
Well, hello, everyone. Shanadra Washington, first of all, thank you for putting me on, letting her voice shine. I'm so excited to be on the show. I am Dr. Karen Hall, all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Wasn't as hot as Houston, but we were in the 90s today. My story is, if I could sum it up, it's about grinding, being prepared, and then when that one shining moment comes, it is on. So it's been, I'm thankful for the journey. I don't owe anyone anything because I did it with help from people who were loving on me, but really by the grace of God, He showed me the way and put the people around my life. So the story and the journey is real, and I would not have it any other way. And looking forward to more. There's more to come from Pittsburgh and around the country from Dr. Karen Hall. And I'm looking forward to today's podcast. Thank you, Shanadra.
Okay, see, when I talk about these guests, they always come in, that's it. That's the story. This lady done all kinds of stuff, but we're going to get into it. She came in very modest, from PA, got this PA energy. But I really want to tell you that Dr. Karen Hall has made incredible strides, particularly in leadership, particularly in the sports world, and really has just been an all-around advocate. One of the things that she did not tell you in that introduction was that she soared as an All-American and a coach. She didn't say that. She just said, it was a journey, and I would have. She didn't say none of that. She didn't also say that she later covered games on ESPN as a commentator. She also didn't tell us that she's a community programmer and she's doing work with the mayor out there in her city. She didn't say all that. Well, I have to break into that is a really great segue because what she embodies is leadership in a multitude of capacities. So let me ask you, Dr. Karen Hall, from those things we just talked about, all those different hats, tell me how did each role, or you don't have to go into specifics for each one, but just let me know about how those roles influence your philosophy around leadership, because you've had to go through a lot of different roles.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Thank you. Well, as a former University of Nevada, Las Vegas women's basketball player, and for that leading me into coaching, the people that you're trained by, like I'm an observer and I'm a listener, and I'm very good with directions. So when I listened to what was being taught to me through sport, and when you love sport, like you're going to just go for it, give it your passion. You learn that, how to put selective people around you that are positive, passionate, and have goals to soar later in life. And as a head women's basketball coach all around the country and back, I didn't make it down to Houston, but I've been in every region of the country coaching. I work to do the same thing with staff, with recruiting, and with the people that I work with. And through all that, as I continued into my formal education with a master's degree and my doctorate, it comes down to relationships, building relationships, not just hello and bye, but fostering, nurturing relationships. And now you find out, where do people fit in your professional space and in your personal space? As I say, as a CEO of my life, I have a board of directors of my life. And sometimes I need to have them change seats. And sometimes I need to add more seats. And maybe sometimes I need to lessen the seats. So that's where my leadership philosophies come from. Really started early in my household as well, rooted in education and rooted in teams. That's really been my journey. It's always been myself plus one other person that makes up a team. So that's sort of where all that leadership philosophy comes from.
Yes, absolutely. And what I really like from that segment, Dr. Hall, is you talking about knowing kind of where these people in your life have to fit. Because one of the things that's sometimes a challenge, you think like, oh, that's Susie Q. We've been, girls for 30 years. But Susie Q don't fit in all categories of life and business. And I think sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to draw those boundaries. And then number two is kind of like redefine where this person actually fits. And it's not a negative thing. It's not coming from a negative place, but it really is a more to alignment and then understanding like this is really kind of a chess game, this overall thing. And I like that you say you have a board of directors. Y'all hear that? Some of y'all need to get y'all a board of directors for y'all life because how it's currently going, you talking to him, them, and shim, and they don't have no playing field as to where you're trying to go. They can't teach you anything different. You got to be open to having a board of directors and also to expanding it and looking at it regularly.
Yes.
Also, too, Dr. Hall, you are a Western Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame inductee.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going into the state Hall of Fame in October. I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speechless. The state of Pennsylvania Hall of Famer, women's basketball.
Yeah, I told y'all she looks sweet, but the resume, it don't lie. I told her that when we started out. I was like, what? Come on, Dr. Karen Hall. That is such a beautiful achievement. I am so incredibly proud of you for doing that. Did that by any way redefine purpose or direction for you just by saying like, oh, here, I'm an inductee? Did that do anything for the play on purpose and direction? Because it's such a great honor to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Did that kind of have you rethink about purpose a little bit?
Absolutely. It really makes you evaluate your life, right? What have you done to earn such a distinguished honor that doesn't happen to everyone? And I look back and I said the influence that I'm having, which is my purpose in life, and that's to give back to people, right? And I'm influencing more than just in the world of sport, right? In education, in communication, in community, right? With the little kids, like my job is to create new generational leaders from the little kids up. So when I thought about, wow, you're going into the Pennsylvania State Hall of Fame, it's more than just basketball. I love my basketball. I did it well. I was good at it. But I'm being recognized for more than just the sport. I'm being recognized to being a leader of influence and purpose. So that's what the induction will mean to me in October.
Yeah, it's so important to have that community piece. And I love that, what you do is beyond the basketball, like really, really being an advocate for leadership skills that can, go beyond the court. That is just so, so important. I was talking to another guest, I actually watched tons of like sports documentaries, and I listened to like, a lot of athletes. Like I had a stature to be an athlete, but girl, I can't dribble the ball. I can't twist. I can't do that. I said, why, Lord? Like what you do? Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Loving it.
But, the thing about it is, I listen to them, and one of the things that it is hard for many of them to do is really, really infuse those leadership skills outside of the court, right? Because that part can be so temporary. It can be a temporary part. Like, I mean, you could be a pro star and then, tear your Achilles or something. And then where are you going to actually put things back into the earth? So I'm so happy you kind of have that holistic view as it relates to being in the sports arena and then outside of the sports arena. That's what I really love about your journey. But I want to talk to you right now about women's sports and equity. It's something. And thanks to our mutual connection, I've spoken to many lady athletes on this platform. And it's a conversation I always like to drive because it's one that needs to be had. And I know that I did some research and you were speaking about the legacy of Title IX when they were, celebrating 50 years. And one of the things you were saying, like, okay, sports is a business and women need financial control. Yeah. And that is just so very important. Tell me from your perspective, what are maybe some key strategies to shift that paradigm? Because we don't always know what to say. We don't always know what to do in those rooms. We don't always know all the right people to talk to or to find advocates. What do you think in terms of like women in sports equity per se? What can we do to kind of switch that paradigm a little bit?
Yeah, well, to your title of your show, like I always talk about finding and using your voice strategically. Okay. And for women in sport today, we have the exposure. So we've come a long way. We have platforms. So we've come a long way. Now, when we are in the room, we cannot be overly emotional and highly past the level of passion that looks like you're not in control. It's because it is a business and you have to be factual about the numbers. And you have to understand who's controlling the purses in all of our sports. And realistically, the way it still sits, we have more men still controlling the purses. We are the product and we're doing well, but we're not economically on the individual financial level, putting it in our pocket and in our account. It sounds good because that's where we are. But when we look at equity, not equal equity, we have a long way to go. And we have to, again, when we are in the room, one, we have to make sure those of us who are going in the room are the right ones to go in the room. And then we have to be intellectually equipped to go back and forth. That's called negotiation with the others around the table. And we have to know going into the room, what do we want coming out and what will we live with? Those are things that will help change the narrative. And we can start seeing more financial progress, more sponsorship, more television, let's say advocacy of all sport.
I love that. And I think it's so important, like really and truly why this platform exists, Dr. Collins, because I had to go through my own, and it was not easy, had to go through my own journey of kind of having this voice and what it really truly meant. Because on the tail end of like my corporate career back in 21, my whole career was just based on what I had been taught as really and truly a Black woman in corporate America. And this is coming from like my great grandmother, who I was fortunate enough to meet, who was born in 1921. It was like, you're going to have to work 3 times as hard and you need to go in there, put your head down and get your work done. So that, even though I was very ambitious, thinking about like what really just shaped how I flow, it was just some of those old, ideology. And that was very true for her in her time. So really what happened, I did that. Like I could easily outwork everybody. I could easily, put teams together. I could easily do all these things. But what was happening, I kept getting the crap projects. They kept taking all my good people. Found out I was $30K underpaid to somebody I managed, and so on and so forth. So I think kind of being pushed up against the wall and having to cycle through all of that is like, where is this rooted from? Like, you are so good on the ground when it comes to managing your team and being a people person. But when it comes to projecting and saying, okay, well, this is what I just say, the senior leadership and people that are kind of beyond this ceiling, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. And like, where is this coming from? Why? Because you have the intellect, you have the emotional intelligence, you have all of that, but there's still this blocker that you haven't owned. You haven't fully owned it. So go in there and have those kind of conversations. But now you can tell I don't care, right?
Oh, I can tell that. I can tell you walk in the room they all pause and spread like, here she is.
Yeah,
No
like,
problem today.
believe it or
Good
not,
for you.
it was not. It was always very joyous, lots of
Right.
laughter, lots of energy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a place to where I owned it, and that's
Yes.
why it's so important for me, you know, and the teachings that I do and the mentors that I do to help women really truly do that and be that and stand in it and own that. This is not an easy thing to do, but I can tell you it has been worth it. I can
Good for
very
you.
much tell you that I wouldn't change even the pain in the journey, because it
Yes.
wouldn't have gotten that painful. Dr. Look, don't give me the story. Talk about what we was talking about before. If it hadn't got that painful, I would have never ever made the shift.
Yeah, that fire is real. Like
It
the
is.
fire, the sizzle, it gets real. So because you are your leader of yourself, like I said, you're the CEO of your life, and only you can get up off that wall, and only you can open the voice for people can hear you. And so they now know there's something different about Shanadra Washington. She's not settling for that anymore. And
Yeah.
once they do that, it shifts. So now you'll start attracting those people who are like, oh, the confidence, right? The knowledge. We need to put her where she can thrive. And you know, the mentorship with women, I wrote my book. I told you that 10 Tremendous Leadership Lessons, Guide for Leadership Learning. I have a chapter on mentorship versus sponsorship. Listen, women are 3 times more mentored than men. Men are 2 times more sponsored, which means people are opening those doors more for men, while women are having coffee and tea talking about direction. We need to, that's the paradigm that also needs shift.
And you know what? I could remember, like, towards the tail end, they started using like the ally word. You know, ally became a word versus, but you know, they throw all this stuff around. Yes. Ally and becoming a sponsor and all these kind of different things. And I can literally remember, and this is a perfect example of what you said. This is a true example from my corporate career. And they had started these mentorship type programs or whatever for women, and they had a whole women's line. They were trying to, you know, pair, you know, women that were higher up the chain to like first tier managers and so on and so forth. Well, being that this was a foreign company and I'm Black American, I ain't finna just have no like. Okay, I'm back. All right, you know, I had a mentor, Dr. Karen. I'm gonna go with that, and we go move on. But what was running very parallel on the side of us was this other, they didn't call it like men thing, but it was nothing but men in it. They had some type of special language that they used for a group of men that were on my same level 1, but they were being paired with men that were, you know, executive directors, et cetera, et cetera. That next year, about 80% of that group were promoted.
Yep. Yep.
80% of them went on to get, you know, a higher roles, while these women over here, while it was nice, right? Yep. Like you said, let's go, you know, grab a little coffee, let's go sit in this room, whatever, you know, and talk about certain things. It didn't move the needle. And I want to be clear, you know, on that. You know, it was great to, you know, communicate with some of them, but I did have and see that was really kind of what that was and how the system kind of worked. So, like, mentorship is great. I am a mentor, and I receive. Right? I'm always going to be in that network of doing it. But what really shifted to me, I'm like, okay, so what's next after we have this little chit chat? It's good now, right? But but what's next? And I think behind the question, you know, we just kind of talk about like, what can we do? Give us something that institutions should be doing to make sure, you know, it's just not equal opportunity, but it's influence, that they're allowing influence beyond representation. Because you can have a person in the room represented as diverse, but what can they also do to make sure that influence is represented versus just like representation?
Yeah, so with these student athletes at these universities, I love that they have the NIL, right? That's all good. But what happens is they leave the institution. And not everyone's going pro. Everybody's literally going pro in something other than sport. So now while they're there, the leadership of the institution, if you're going to pair people, pair them together and talk about the next. Like, after I'm done, how can you get me to where I want to go? And this is where I want to go. And some of our athletes have to have an idea of what's next. We're not all going pro in sport. But if you pair me, I have to have someone who can dig down deep, because right now I'm just thinking about my sport. It's an athletic identity crisis that's really going on, because the NIL is like great money, but it's false money because it's not challenging us to find out what else can we do. And the institutions, the responsibility is to prepare your student athletes to be great alums after they are done. And they need people who can open doors. So put people in their lanes that can be influentially opening doors while they are in college.
I absolutely love that. And it also too, beyond like NIL, just that age group, like that early age group of it is just so imperative to have those type of skills, just period. Like at that, because I was always kind of like, I was raised by an older generation, my grandparents, they were 1940s kids. So I always was kind of like a little bit ahead of the curve, a little bit with wisdom as it related to my peers per se. But I felt like, like, dang it, like what we talked about before we started, like, man, if I would have just had that little leadership tweak, maybe at like 21 versus 31, what?
Yeah.
If I would have just had, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I wanted something like, I wanted somebody to serve me on a silver platter, but just this one tweak about how to navigate this room, how to navigate this space, that one little small tweak, it could have made and moved mountains in the 10-year career span, especially the type of work that I was doing. So that's why I think it's so important with what you're doing with starting earlier with the impact, because it makes a world of difference. Now when I kind of go back now and I'm able to talk to people of different age groups now, like in my age, or talk to like a 25-year-old, and seeing some of them now that are getting some tools earlier on, it's like mind blown.
Yeah. They're getting the visionary, those soft skills. They're being taught how to speak to people on the business level early. The doors that we're just kind of now opening for ourselves, as per your statement, this generation. And then here's the other part that's different from us. This generation, they expect it. Our mentality is, well, we work for it. Well, while we were working for this, they're saying, hey, I don't want to start at $25,000. Like, they want the world before they even seen half of the hemisphere, right? But that's it. That is a aggressive and assertive mindset, which you really can't fault. The difference is how they approach going after it. That's where the leadership needs to come in and help shape that.
Absolutely. And my son, he'll be 8 Friday. And one thing about it, and he's primarily homeschool, we have like a learning coach that takes him library and, do different things throughout the week, STEM and all this kind of stuff. But one of the things, and he's so polite about it, but he's very like, he'll kind of get to a place where we're in a conversation. He goes, Mom, I need answers. And I said,
yes, that's it right there.
And he doesn't say it in a disrespectful way, but he kind of gets to a point like, I'm just really trying to understand this. And then I had to take a step back. Like at first you kind of pressed. I'm like, I was raised by 1940s folks. I knew some 1920s. This is a lot. I don't identify as an ABC. I don't identify as some older folks. So it's a little bit like pressing. But he's like, I need answers.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of step back, and I was really kind of proud of him for that, for asking for clarity and really wanting to understand and not accepting that it's kind of like that's how it's going to be. And he was really adamant about it. So seeing small shifts like that, I tell people that's what makes the work meaningful, to show up and push beyond some of those things that you just think like the Karen push. She's just not basketball, but pushing beyond and building community to foster other skills like soft skills. Now, let me ask you this, because she has done broadcast. She's been to broadcasting, but I already told you that. And then she's also, like I said, in the classroom. I'm going to tell you this. I want you to answer me this. I think both of those things, because I'm trying to tie those together, I think both require connection, clarity, and impact. I said, dang, what the words? I think those three. Tell me what parallels you see in doing those kind of two roles, because I'm like, and I think that kind of goes back to kind of question one with that leadership philosophy we kind of talked about. But I want to know those parallels, because I think when you're broadcasting, you have to have all this clarity and communication skills. But also, too, there's something that's very, very important when you're in that classroom. Yeah. So I want you to tell me a little bit about those parallels and how you navigated that space.
Yeah, it came down to several things. One, it came down to confidence, knowing that I could sit and speak about something I know well on a network where people are watching. And it's the same room in the classroom, because you're influencing minds. That's literally what you're influencing in the classroom. Two, you have to be relational. You have to be your most authentic self. You have to be your most authentic self in both industries, right? Because people are watching you, and you either become credible or I'm not sure, in both the educational setting and both on the communication broadcast setting. And then thirdly, you got to know your business. You got to know the business of broadcast. You got to know the business of education, because in both entities, people are listening. They're listening to you, and they're trying to sift through how does it relate to them. So you have to have those three skill sets. And those are soft but very important skill sets to have in making the impact on your audience, both in a classroom and those that are watching you. All right. So that's what I got. That's how it impacts.
I love that, because at the end of the day, people want to know what's in it for me.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you can yap. Yep. At the end of the day, how this is going to propel me along, how is this going to help me? And especially in the classroom, these little babies ain't got time for your foolishness, so they want to know what's going on. So I wanted to make sure I touched on that, and also too, I know we have many educators that watch this show. That is just so important to bring in that piece of clarity and communication. I know it's getting tougher. Refine your skills, find different ways to connect. The world is ever changing. Perfect your craft. Even when you guys see me sitting up here doing this, you know, two of these interviews may not look alike, because it's very important for me that when my guest comes, that the information is presented in a way that I have taken my time to understand them, and that I can best highlight their message. So don't play
You've
with
done well. You've done well. I'm raising the roof for you.
Hey.
Yes.
I love this. I really do and truly love this place. But let me go here, because I just had this conversation with somebody, Dr. Karen, and I almost went left on her. But I stayed
you
in.
Stay squared. You stay squared to them.
I went right there, because a lot of times leadership itself is glamorized.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, you know, you got the leadership and all this, you got this and that. I say, I ain't asked for this. I'm still trying to figure out. My father gave it to me. Sometimes I don't even want to wear it. So it's glamorized, but it can also be very isolating. Ooh, yes, and misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, there is no question, because you are making decisions. 36,000 decisions we make a day, if not more, and they come in barrages. Right. And you got to be, I mean, I just talked about authenticity. You have to know yourself while you're making decisions, because bottom line of leadership, you are standing in your space and it is lonely. It's really full when everything is great. But boy, when that temperature rises, everybody scatters and there you are alone. And sometimes you don't have other leaders that you can reach out to, because some of them are going through some of their same firestorms, right? And then you do have a couple, again, goes back to your board of directors, right? Who do you have around your table that you can say, listen, it's quiet around me, but I need an ear. I need a word. This leadership is great, but it's not pretty. It is not pretty. You got to be strong-minded and being able to be open to the fire that's going to come. But it's a wonderful space, but you need to understand where you're sitting and standing.
Absolutely. And I always like to say that and hear that from one leader to another, because number one, when it gets so isolated, you really like, oh Lord, who else is dealing with this? Because this is a lot of different stuff. And it's like, you know, I'll go into different rooms or whatever. I say, I'm just going to be quiet. I don't want to be the leader today. And they find me, Dr. Karen.
That's a good thing, because they can see it. No, I love you. Live in it. It is evident.
I don't know any information. I don't know nothing.
It is your influence. They see influence and impact, right? And I tell leadership has nothing to do with your title. Absolutely nothing. It has with your ability to influence and impact, right? And being able to be a leader has to also be a follower. We're not going to go to, my session right now, but those part that I just mentioned, that is huge for a leader to understand. Don't matter what your title is. Can you influence and impact people in a way where they can have impact for themselves and go on and be a part of your tree? You're the stump. You want to build branches. So they come off of the Sinead Washington tree. That's about leadership. Whoop, there it is.
Look at her. Okay, then I'll go ahead on and take it, Dr. Karen, since you're saying it. Okay. Now let's talk about the book. Okay. Yeah. Tell me what finally inspired you to write the book. Okay. And how did the process of putting your lessons into words? Because, you can be living it, but then when you start writing that thing out, that's different. Tell me about, did it help to even clarify your journey even more? Because you've been walking around with all the Jews. Now you put it into words, and that process is sometimes a little bit different. Did it trigger some things that came up? Did it just kind of help you just stand firm and clarify some things? What was the writing process like for finally putting your leadership principles into print?
Yeah, so, I walked in the space of, like you said, people find you. Hey, Karen, we need you to. Karen, we'd like for you to. Right. And so it's been happening my whole life. And then at the point of almost finishing the doctorate, I had to figure out what did I want to do. And I said, oh, my gosh, dear Lord, help me to grow leaders. We need to grow some positive leaders who are understanding of who they are and who can impact and influence. So I did these 10 leadership lessons, very simple titles. One was eliminate excuses. No more excuses. We all make excuses. You got to eliminate those. Leaders cannot have excuses. They got to have facts and solutions. Then I have a chapter that says parting ways with procrastination. You got to be on time. You can find a way not to be late, right? And then the inspiration was that these simple chapters, you can read the chapter, but you can go back later, month or so later, and find out, reread it. How am I doing with my leadership? How am I doing with my attitude? Is it helping me to propel in my altitude, right? Attitude dictates altitude. And have I conquered my own fear of failure in certain areas? Have I embraced it and say, bring it on? So those were my inspirations about the book. And I could leave it for other people to challenge themselves in each one of those chapters.
Absolutely. And let me ask you, is there one particular chapter that you find yourself still learning or deepening? Because there's, I think, parts I've put out my top 3 leadership traits. And one of the things for me that's always been very high, which they have a term for it now. It's called emotional intelligence. That's what they call it now. I just know how to treat people right and make them feel good and look good. Whatever. Y'all got a term for it now, then that's the term, Dr. Then we go. Then we gonna go with it. And I find that part of it, because I think it sometimes try to be under attack, right? I think the enemy knows that if that's your strong suit, it will always try to attack that thing because you're so strong. So I start to have very tight situations where I know that I am in that room to be the one to offer that type of intelligence in the room.
Yes.
Even though the gut want to go a different way with them. Okay. Yep. But because I am designed to dissect those type of, high intensity gifts, that's where you'll get the tech. I'm teaching, I know. That's where you get the attack at. So when I think about my highest 3 leadership qualities, whatever, I find myself always working to deepen that. Always working to have the conversation itself. Always working to get a variety of perspectives. I spent lots of different times researching because I know that is a strong suit for me. If any of those 10 principles, any of them you feel like, okay, I just feel like that 1 or 2, I just feel like I'm on a constant journey of re-deepening or just kind of reconnecting with. Does any of that?
Yeah, so I had to go to my chapters because I love them all. So in my book, I have a chapter that says sustaining high performance championship level in the workplace. And I always keep working to deepen because we're dealing with people. Like we're dealing with people of all personalities and experiences. And that is such a daily work in progress. So I said, how can I sustain championship level performance in the workplace? Because it's all relational, right? It's all recruiting the right people to put around you. Do they have the same passion and energy as you do for what you're working in? So, because people are complex, we're complex people. But if we just narrow it down and say, hey, this is who I am. But sometimes that's not as easy for people because of their experiences, right? So I'm always saying, go deeper with people. Come from the spirit of love, because the world that we live in now is so filled with chaos. And if you come from the spirit of love in the workplace, you can find those people who want to help you elevate and to sustain high performance championship level in the workplace. That encompasses a lot of who I have become through athletics because of the people that I've been associated with and those who have influenced me. And it was like you just sustain that level. There is no bottom level. You work to be the best that you can. And to me, that's sustaining high performance championship level in the workplace, in your home, in your social world. Yes.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And one of the things, especially if you are considering yourself a leader, always being willing to be the listener and the learning. And I told people, look, if it's all said and done, I got to go home tomorrow. Know this: I was a forever learner and always a servant. And those two things encapsulate.
Yes.
Really all this stuff. Like this really just serving, right? It really encapsulates that, and keeping those two things at the forefront are always going to make me really aligned to kind of stay in those leadership qualities, right? Yes. So that, like, you kind of feel like they're going to find it anyway because you've already said
they're going to find you
to that lifestyle. And I forget, this conversation really has honestly helped me really stay grounded in it. Nice. Because sometimes, even though, like, we love doing it, well, at least me, I'll be like, look, I'm just a little tired and burnt out. I don't want to I don't want to be in the forefront. This is just real life and me talking from a real pure place. But you doing it and you doing your journey and say, look, I am continuing to evolve. I'm writing my book.
Yes.
I'm for the classroom. It really helps me because I know that someone else out there on the battlefield standing up and being that leadership, even on the days when it's hard. Yeah. So I got to thank you for doing that and standing there, Dr. Karen. That really, really helps me as I continue, my journey.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I want to make sure we have a clean segment to tell people where to connect with you, whether that's a website, an email, where to find a book. Give us some connection points so these people know how to reach out to you, Dr. Karen Hall. I'm going to let you do that quickly.
Thank you so much. So first, I love LinkedIn. So for you listeners out there, if there's anything that I've said, anything that moved you, please connect with me. Remind me where we connected. My book literally is on Amazon. However, that you can send me an email and we can figure out how we can get that to you personally. You can email me at the letter U, the letter R, the word winning. You are winning at yahoo.com. And those are the two main places that I love to connect with people. I do a lot of leadership sessions and breakout sessions and work all around the country. So if you're interested in speaking with me about the possibility, send me a LinkedIn. That'd be great. And we can further connect with one another. And then I say, be unapologetically who you are. Love yourself. And then remember, there's a huge world out there. Part of why I have so many things going on is because I'm always recreating and finding out what else can I do to help someone else. My purpose in my mind is to serve people. That's my purpose of my existence, is to serve people. So I appreciate Shanadra Washington having me on tonight for her Voice Shines podcast.
Absolutely. Now, we're not done with you yet, Dr. Karen Hall.
I know. I just want to throw that out there.
We're going to introduce something called Rapid Fire. I have pre-designed 10 questions for you, so you don't get a whole lot. Just, a word, a
Yes,
couple
ma'am.
statements. The first thing that comes to your mind
Okay.
when you hear these statements.
Okay.
Number one, give me your favorite sports memory.
Winning championships.
Love it. One word to describe your coaching philosophy.
Intense.
You intense, girl.
Just a tad.
Just a little. Okay. Athlete or coach you admire the most.
Pat Summit.
Okay. Give me a morning ritual before a game day or an event.
I need to pray. It's a prayer. Lord help me.
Is there a book that you keep recommending to others? Any special books that you've had in your leadership journey that maybe really impacted you?
Yeah, it was called Good to Great. Good to Great was the name. The author's escaping me right now, but it was Good to Great.
All right. Give me the biggest Title IX myth to bust.
That's a good rapid fire. Myth. That women can't do this. That's a myth.
What would you tell your younger athletic self?
Meet more people and ask more. Ask more.
Tell me the hardest lesson that sports taught you.
When you're down, you got to grind out. You got to grind it to either tie the game or win it, but you don't give up.
Never stop. The next big goal you're chasing.
To get on a national platform and have my own Dr. Karen Hall show where I put everything about who I am together and have many common people on my show.
Well, you better call me.
Well, no. Listen, no question. Because the shows, and I'm not trying to ruin your rapid fire, but we always see those that are already there. I want to bring people who are on their way there.
Sure. I love that. Now, this is the last one. Tell me, how do you recharge mentally or emotionally? Tell me how you recharge.
Take deep breaths and work out.
Okay.
Health club.
Girl, you killed that. I think you did your rapid fire maybe about 45, 50 seconds. So you better go ahead on, Miss Karen, and be rooted in who you are and answer these questions. Now, listen, I have to really thank you for being here. Now, this is the part of our show we cue on to our guests for final thoughts. We ask you to give us some great parting words for this space, something that really captures the essence of Dr. Karen Hall. I'm going to send it over to you for final thoughts, and I'll be back to close the show.
Okay. Final thoughts from Dr. Karen Hall. 1, love who you are. Get to know yourself. Hang out by yourself. 2, please be sure you have a level of base of spirituality. I don't know, whatever it is, whoever you believe is your higher being, just have it and think about who that is and what it does for you. And 3, my final word, explore the world. There's so much out there. We don't know how much time we have on this beautiful place called Earth and in our lives. So don't say no to think about it. And if it's something that you're curious about or not, do it. Those are my final thoughts. And thank you.
Of course. No, thank you. And let me allow to give you some roses for standing this thing, for keeping reinventing yourself, for finding different ways to serve. That's going to always pull on my heartstrings because people will sit in one thing and think that's it. But what Dr. Karen Hall does very well, I know we talk about a whole bunch of accolades, but what she does very well is exactly what she says. She finds multiple ways to help serve people. So I want to thank you for pushing beyond you, not being obsessed with those gifts, and putting them out here in the world, because that's really what this platform is for. And to everybody out there in the Her Voice Shines podcast, I'll tell you, miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. And like those church folks say, I love you, and nothing you can do about it. And we'll be back really in no time with another amazing woman on the Her Voice Shines podcast. But until then, we're out. We love you.